Are you going to start the meeting? Can't hear anything.
Meeting hasn't started yet. I think they're still waiting for people to get in.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and our apologies for the delay. We were having a little bit of a some technical difficulties. Welcome and good afternoon. This is the Morongo Valley Community Services District Special Board Meeting of February 23rd, 2023. This meeting is now called to order. We will start with the roll call. Vice President Whitney.
Present.
Director Tolbert.
Present under protest.
Duly noted. Director Gorky.
Present.
Director Emery.
Present.
And then President Henning. I'm here. We have a quorum. Will you please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, truth and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Our first item of business will be under new business, and it's Resolution 2302 AB 361 recertification. This item will reinstate the expired resolution allowing online meetings to continue pursuant to AB 361. Do I have a motion to adopt the recommendation?
So moved.
Vice President Whitney made a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, Director Emery second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You cannot do that.
Okay, so can we please have
I
a,
just took it around that, excuse me,
so,
I took it around that class today. All virtual meetings must be done via roll call vote.
yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Tolbert. I was in that class as well. Thank you for the reminder. May we please have a roll call vote? Vice President Whitney,
Aye.
Director Emery.
Aye.
Director Gorky,
Nay.
Director Tolbert,
Nay.
and President Henning, yay. Motion passes 4-1. The next item on our agenda is public comment. At this time, the board will consider comments which pertain to the agenda item only. All comments regarding non-agendized items will be heard following the closed session item. The president will recognize you at the appropriate time. When called upon to speak, please state your name clearly for the record, and you will have 1 minute to comment on the agenda item. Do we have any public comments?
Madam President, before you take public comment, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I believe I heard you said the motion passed with a 4-1 vote. Is that what you stated?
Yes, sir.
That would be incorrect.
Yeah, I said
I
nay.
believe the vote, I believe it was a 3-2 vote.
Okay, my apologies. Director Gorky, I apologize. I did not hear you say nay.
No problem.
We'll pause, Director Gorky. So you, that was a nay vote for recertifying the AB 361?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Please let the minutes reflect that for item D1, Resolution 2302 AB 361 recertification, the motion passed 3-2 with Director Gorky and Director Tolbert voting nay. Thank you for pointing that out. We have open public comment so that the public may comment on the agenda items. You will have 1 minute to speak. And I see that we have some hands raised. I'm going to start with Jess. Jess, please.
Hello, I wanted just to note on the AB 361, I do not agree with it as a member of the community. There's multiple neighbors who do not have internet access or access to the computer, and the dial-in number for Zoom is very complicating. And I beg of you guys to reconsider your votes. Also, as a member of the community, I do not appreciate the fact that you just disregarded two of our well-known and respected board members twice. Thank you very much.
Madam President, before we go any further, I have a comment.
I apologize, Director Tolbert, please continue.
You said everybody will have 1 minute to speak. That is incorrect. You have to go by what the agenda says. The agenda says 3 minutes. You must give them 3 minutes. That is posted in the agenda.
Sir, absolutely. And this only pertains, the 1 minute only pertains to the public comments specifically to the agenda item, which would be our closed session. Public comment regarding all other matters will be held after closed session, and at which time all members of the public will have 3 minutes to speak.
You have to give them 3 minutes. It was posted in the agenda. You cannot change the agenda. It says right here, comments will be limited to 3 minutes or less. You have to give them the 3 minutes, ma'am. That is posted in the agenda. That's posted to the public. They have to have 3, not 1.
So absolutely, I absolutely see what you're saying. So if you continue reading on, it says there will also be a 1 minute public comment period before each agenda item. So there's two
If you
separate.
read it, it states they have to give them 3 minutes. You cannot change it.
Well, we can absolutely give everyone 3 minutes and go ahead and do that. So let's
So if Jen has more comments, she needs to be able to speak.
I'm sorry, I did not hear that comment. All right, so moving on to the next public comment. The next public comment I see, the hand raised, is Shauna Johnson. Thank you for being here, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. First off, I would like to make sure that all or a majority of our board members are inside of our jurisdiction. Are you, Jennifer, inside of the jurisdiction of Morongo Valley?
This is a public comment period, so I'm not.
Yeah,
sure.
that is my comment.
What?
I'm asking a question. This will not be a legal meeting if there are more than 3 of you out or 2 of you outside of the meeting area. So
She is
with that
correct in her
being
comment.
said,
and everybody
I hope
asked
that
question. You have to
I hope
answer.
that you are inside the meeting area. Otherwise, this is all going to be for naught. The other thing I have to say is that the Zoom meetings and the resolution 2302 AB 361 was meant for state of emergency and for the COVID pandemic. And that's why we were able to have these kind of meetings. We're not even in that a state of emergency anymore. And we are past the 30 days that are required to recertify that. Also, a couple comments on the agenda items. How is it that 3 of the board members are privy to litigation and the office staff and other members are not privy to this, whatever litigation is pending or may not be? And if it's just may or may not be, why are we having this special meeting at 2 o'clock? Also, I just want the board members who voted for the new law firm, I want you to know that there are people in the public that are going to hold you financially responsible for any monetary increment of this law firm that is not representing the public. We will hold you personally liable for that, for those expenses. just so you know. And that's all I have to say, but I hope you guys are in the jurisdiction. Otherwise, this is all for nothing.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I appreciate your comments.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
it seems to me that Ms. Johnson has researched the AB 361 laws. She is correct. She has asked you if you are present within the jurisdiction of the district, you must answer. Any board member pressed that question in this meeting must answer because we have to be within the jurisdiction. Are you presently within the confines of Morongo Valley? Yes or no?
Thank you, Director Tolbert, for your
I
question.
asked a question, I am asking for an answer. Yes or no?
We want an
Since our attorney is on this Zoom meeting, may I please have the representative from BB&K address some of the questions and concerns that have been raised regarding AB 361. Nick, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
Thank
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes, thank you.
So just to clarify, under AB 361 teleconferencing, a majority of the members of the legislative body are not required to participate from within the agency's jurisdiction. There is a different type of teleconferencing, what we've referred to as like the classic or standard teleconferencing under AB 360, under the Brown Act, where traditionally the members do have to be within the area of the district, a majority does to participate, but that is not required under AB 361 teleconferencing.
Thank you, Nick. All right, we will continue with public comment. Once again, I'm going by what I see on my screen. So the next public comment we have, the next individual is Buddy Stronger. Buddy, will you please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, I'm Buddy Stogner, and I've been a resident of Morongo Valley for the past 35 years. I've been involved with this community, including the softball league for our town, for many years. And my question to you three board members is, why are all of you three still here? You have not answered any of the town's emails. You are spending money that we do not have. Our beautiful little town was just coming together, and then here you three come. You're destroying everything that the CSD, the general manager, and the fire chief that have worked so hard for. This town doesn't want you. And when are you guys just going to resign and leave us alone? That's my question.
Okay, if your comments are concluded, I want to say thank you. We will go on to the next hand raised. The next
Can't
hand.
answer my question?
I'm sorry, Mr. Stronger.
Just like emails, you guys can't answer.
Can you please repeat your question? I apologize.
Yeah, I'll read it. Basically, nobody wants you here. And when are you guys leaving?
Okay, well,
Why haven't you answered any of the emails that this town has sent to you guys?
I'd like to answer if I can, Mr. Stonger. I've actually replied to every email that's been sent to me. You can check the records. I've responded to a number of individuals who have asked a number of questions and did my best to field a number of phone calls as well. So I appreciate that you have a strong opinion. However, I think it's actually factually inaccurate since I have emailed and responded with a number of citizens in this valley.
Okay, what about Miss Hennings? She has not answered not one, and she's the president.
well, I apologize for that. I have not seen those emails, so once again,
You've got a whole bunch
apologies.
from this town.
And then once again, my apologies. I have not seen them. I will.
But you're supposed to be the president of our board and be on top of things, right?
Yes, sir. And once again, my apologies. I will go back. I will check those emails. Be sure I check my junk email and my spam box to make sure they haven't been going there. Once I check on that, I will be sure to respond to all of them.
Is there a resignation coming from the three of you in the near future?
I can only speak for myself, so that would be no.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Madam President, can I speak?
Oh, yes, Vice President Whitney?
Yeah, I don't believe there are any outstanding emails on my end either. I think any email or phone call that I have ever received, I have returned. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Okay, we're going to continue on. This is a public comment time. The next name I see on my screen is Tamberlyn Russell Stronger. Ma'am, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, this is Tamberlyn. So mine is a public comment, not a question. So your guys' behavior is very inappropriate. Your timing of today's meeting is very suspect. Your actions are beneath the positions you hold. You obviously are not serving the community and only serving yourselves. You have heard us loud and clear. We want you to leave and resign. We do not want you to represent Morongo Valley from this point forward. We will remove you if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next, the next name on my screen is James Madras. Mr. Madras, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, quick question. So far, I haven't heard you answer any questions, especially with the regarding, you know, are you in Morongo Valley currently? Second, yeah, you guys canceled the regular meeting for this month and then schedule this special meeting. And then the special or emergency meeting, and the timing is very inconsiderate. Like all the schools are going to be releasing this kids in any minute, like in 20 minutes from now. Everyone's over there. And the timing is just inconsiderate and doesn't, whatever you guys are doing, I don't understand it. None of it has made any sense. You guys have, you know, oh, and then the other question was, all right, so then you have this closed meeting. Is the Zoom meeting going to be continuing after the closed session so that we can have the open comments afterwards? And then I don't understand why there is a BBK lawyer here when, as far as I understand, the community had not, you know, did not approve this guy. And and as far as I know, nothing was signed. You guys were trying to force the fire chief to sign to approve this BBK, and then all of a sudden now they're on the call. Like this doesn't make any sense. Just waiting for answers. That's all. We just need clarification, reassurance. But
Sir,
you guys
this
have given none of it.
All right, sir, this is a public comment period. This is not the appropriate moment to be answering questions. You still have another minute during your public comment period. So you may continue.
I'm just asking for clarification. So then, all right, after the closed session, do you guys have we're still open for comments afterwards, right?
We
Or
made
is the
public
all
comment
gonna be-
after closed session, as I initially stated. So there will be a second public comment after closed session.
Okay, and when would that be?
Sir, it all depends on the number of comments we have. We will continue with all public comments. Once those have concluded, we will then continue on with the agenda.
After the no, she's not the closed session. So what I'm trying to clarify is that, like, do I just stay on the Zoom call until you guys come back?
Yes, thank you so
Okay.
much. And your comment period is over. We appreciate.
Madam President, we need a correction.
I'm sorry, did someone?
We need a correction.
And what is that, Mr. Tolbert?
I thank the gentleman for his comments. Please to understand, this is not an emergency meeting. This is only a special meeting. There
is
is a
correct.
lot more that have to take place with the being emergency meeting. I ask all citizens to please understand that. Once before, it was mentioned that we had an emergency meeting and it hurt the district quite very much so. I've been on this board for the last 11 years. We've never had an emergency meeting. We've never had any reason to have an emergency meeting. This is only a special meeting. Thank you.
That is correct, and thank you for pointing that out. As the agenda states, it's a special meeting of the CSD today.
There you go.
Thank
No,
you.
I'm unmuted if you want to.
Thank you, Mr. Madras. Our next name on my screen is iPhone 5. Will the individual with named iPhone 5, it is your turn to speak. You have 3 minutes.
Director, President Henning, 1 second. You have some people that are unmuted and there's some background noise. I think it's Ted's iPhone. If you could please mute yourself so we can follow this progression, please.
And also Dr. Chuck 9999.
If you could just mute
So if
until
anyone
you're
needs-
called upon. We'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Embry. Yes, please be mindful to mute your screens. iPhone 5, will you please state your name for the minutes, and then you have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes, my name is Bobby Talbert, and I am very disappointed in the board. The board needs to understand that you work for the community, not for 3 individuals. I would like you guys to please consider resigning because you are not representing our community in the upstanding standards we expect. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mrs. Tolbert. We appreciate your comments. The next screen I have is, it's a telephone number, 760-220-2602. Please unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes to speak. The caller with the phone number 760-220-2602, your hand is raised. You have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name.
My name is Janet Osborne. I've lived in this community over 20 years. I've served this community for 20 years. Really should pay attention to that Brown Act, because in the Brown Act, as your attorney has stated, states that the majority has to be within the community. So anything you decide here, if you're not all in the community while you're on this, is null and void. Also, knowing, because you guys have definitely told us how much you know about boards, how good you are about being on a board, yet you couldn't have a regular meeting to extend the Zoom? Seriously? You guys need to step back. You guys need to resign. You need to do this, or the community will take care of that for you. I guarantee it.
Okay, Janet, thank you for your comment. I'm going, are you finished or you still have time?
Oh, I'm finished. So are you.
Okay, thank you, Janet. I appreciate your time. I'm going to take a moment. Nick, are you still on the Zoom?
Yes.
Can you please restate the rules for AB 361? I think there might be some misunderstanding.
Correct. So the type of teleconferencing that this meeting is being held under is AB 361. It's used during a proclaimed state of emergency, which there still is until next week. The governor's indicated it will be in place until next week. And the board reauthorized it at the beginning of the meeting today. This type of teleconferencing does not require a majority of the board to participate from within the agency's jurisdiction. There is a different type of teleconferencing under the Brown Act that has that requirement. That is not applicable to this meeting.
Thank you, Nick. We will continue with public comment. The next public comment is Eva Rolls. Eva Rolls, you have 3 minutes, please. You're muted. I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Ms. Rolls, you're muted. We can't understand you.
All right, there, I think her screen has frozen. Eva, are you there? If you're there, please, you may go ahead. All right, I'm going to give Eva a moment to work on her, work on getting a connection. I'm going to move on to Doves. Doves, please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, along with the trying to establish the validity of this meeting, I just want to point out that you made the announcement that the monthly meeting was canceled, and you made that announcement on Z1077, but this meeting was not announced. So there's an inconsistency there with your desire to reach the community. As somebody else pointed out, the school's letting out, everybody's with their kids. I think that you are bullies. And I think everybody should start using that word. You are bullies, and that's not okay. That is your style. That is your tactic, and you are bullies. And that's what you should be labeled as. And I also don't know why this attorney, I don't know when this attorney was hired. As far as I know, he was never hired. And Jim Brakebill is not working. And why do you need to pay a top law firm to run your board meetings? You should be competent enough to do that yourselves. This is all defense on your part. And why is the attorney not representing the community? Who is paying for this? You're not paying for it, we are. So the attorney needs to stop defending you and start defending the community. That's why you're all here, including the attorney. You're not representing the public, and as an accommodation, it's appropriate to have the public comment period before your closed session. That is another tactic to inhibit the public comment period, because nobody wants to wait indefinitely for you to end your closed session. It's considered
I'll
an
wait.
accommodation, huh? What?
I'll wait for them. I'll wait for them. I'll wait all day.
Yeah, but we shouldn't have, the point is we shouldn't have to. And a lot of people won't. And it's a tactic. And I want to point that out. It's a tactic to eliminate public participation. And it's not acceptable, and you should accommodate this. You should accommodate it by having the public comment period before your closed session. You're bullies, and we hope you resign. That's it.
All right, thank you, Doves, for participating in public comment. The next name I see is Brian. Brian, please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes for public comment.
Hi, good afternoon. I just would like to say that this meeting at 2:35 in the afternoon on a Thursday with 25 hours advance notice is inappropriate for any community board to pull the trigger on. Miss Jennifer, I have emailed you. I've heard your excuses that you don't know where your emails went into your junk mail or whatever. It doesn't even look like you're paying attention to me now. People are asking questions and making comments, and you have to ask them to repeat themselves. You are unfit for this position, and I ask that you resign. And since you said you won't, you will be recalled and you will be removed from office, as well as the other two.
Thank you, Brian, for your comments. We appreciate you being here. I'm going to go back to Eva Rouse. Eva, are you, please, there you are. All right, Eva.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can, thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Because of the inconvenience of this meeting at 2 o'clock, I'm in my vehicle and it was very difficult to unmute my phone. So let me go ahead and get started with this. Jennifer Hennings, my question will be directed towards you. Whose decision was it to hold a special meeting at 2 p.m. instead of the regular scheduled time that we always have meetings at 6 p.m.? Do you know, or are you aware that most of us here in our community work during this time frame? Our local elementary school releases students at 2:45. Most parents here in Morongo Valley will not be able to attend on a Zoom meeting at this time because we are a small town. Most of us drive, drop off, and pick up our children. These meetings on Zoom that are being held, yes, they were a necessity during COVID epidemic, but now these Zoom meetings are excluding members of our community from having a presence. It is critical that we eliminate these meetings and go back to in-person meetings that everyone can freely attend. This most dramatically affects our elders here in the community that don't use computers or technology that Zoom meetings are on. These special Zoom meetings are excluding an entire demographic from attendance. In my opinion, it needs to be rectified immediately. There is a major lack of communication going on when it comes to putting out information, answering questions from the community. A lot of us feel blindsided by what you three board members are doing. And when there are no clear answers to why the need for spending more money than our community has to give, my question is, what have you done specifically to bring income to our community? What grants, events, fundraising have you done or worked on to provide the much needed income that our community is struggling to get? I will finish with that question. Thank you guys from my vehicle because we have a 2 p.m. meeting that makes no sense.
Love you, Eva.
Thank you, Eva, for your comments. I will move on to the next person, Sue Lefebvre. Please unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. The name is Sue Lefebvre. I've lived in the high desert here now for over 12 years, and I just wanted to give a big shout out to the community for rallying. This is important. I am so proud of all of you that have stepped up and are going to do something about, apparently, for what reason, we have no idea, these 3 board members who refuse to represent you appropriately. Having a board meeting like this last minute on Zoom during the middle of a weekday is outrageous. I am so sorry to say that we have come to this point where they're going to be forced to resign and or be recalled. And I do believe that the community has the wherewithal to do that. I'm here to support you 100%. There is no reason for this lack of transparency other than they must have another agenda going on that is not being made clear. They are certainly not doing anything to support the community, which number one is listening. It's not about any one person's agenda. It is a community agenda. And if they're going to continue to schedule meetings where the community is excluded, that is a clear message to me that there is some other agenda going on that does not benefit anyone but their own personal agenda. And that needs to stop right now. It's just not right. And I, again, applaud you. Please let me know what I can do to help you. I'm here to support all of this unless something changes and we actually get some transparency as to what is going on. Haven't seen it yet. So it's time to go forward. And I thank you again for the time to speak.
Thank you, Sue, for your comments. The next person I see is C. Cowan. Please unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes. We can't hear you, Mr. Cowan. I can't hear. Nope, I can't. I will give you a minute and I will come back to you. The next person on my screen is Linda Christian. Linda, please unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes. Linda, can you hear me?
Sorry, took me a minute to unmute. Hi.
Hi.
I really respect and appreciate what you and James and Michael are doing here. What I don't understand is how, you guys represent this whole town, all of us, every single person on this call and every person on the last call and all of us. And I was on the last Zoom meeting and I didn't hear one person say, please vote tonight. We all said, please let us meet you, let us get to know you, explain to us why you're doing the things you are. And you guys went ahead and voted anyway. And that kind of just lost the whole town's respect. And that's kind of why none of us have the faith and confidence in keeping you guys on board. Then we were looking forward to meeting you guys in person at the last meeting, and it got canceled. And now here we are on Zoom at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't understand why you would want to stay on our board and continue to represent us when you aren't representing us. I don't even know how to get a, I mean, there's an email address. I don't know where you guys live. I never got to meet you. You know, I was looking forward to meeting you at the last meeting. And I was also looking forward to the fact that our town graciously asked you to postpone any voting till you could explain yourselves a little so we understood why it was imperative to spend the extra money on the things that you had on deck. And, you know, it's interesting to me because it seems like the three of you, Michael, James, and Jennifer, continue to make decisions without the five of you together, and that's illegal against the Brown Act. Isn't that right, Attorney? That it's not okay to make decisions without including the whole group? Is he gone? Well, everything I've read, and incidentally, I have the manuals, the CSD Morongo Valley board manuals. Two of them are 3 inches thick and one of them is an inch thick. And several of us read the whole thing cover to cover. And I'm not sure, I think that those are supposed to be delivered to you when you fill out the 700 form, explaining your economic impact on this town and how we know who you are financially. So I've got the copies of this book, and I think it's really important. It doesn't seem like you've read this Morongo Valley CSD handbook. It's a total of like 9 inches. I was sort of surprised, but the old timers in this town were very thorough and did a lot to protect the town from something happening like this, where people come in and just start making financial decisions that really affect them.
Linda, your 3 minutes are up. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam President?
We're gonna
Madam
go
President?
back. Who's speaking? Oh, Vice President Whitney. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to make a couple of very quick comments, because when you're not in the know, like why we're having this meeting, it makes all the sense in the world to come to the conclusions that you guys have drawn. The only reason we're having today's meeting, it was going to be a closed session meeting because we have one housekeeping item that needs to be discussed. That was it. But protocol is, even for a closed session meeting that is devoid of public participation, we still have to go through what we're going through right now, just to get to one closed session item, and then we could be done. If we could have just gone to closed session, it would have been over in 5 minutes and everybody would have been back to work. So that's the impetus for having this one closed session item. And Linda, I really, really appreciate your comment. I think what really derailed everything from the top was the town thinking that the only decision that has been made where the town is not in favor of was the changing of general counsel. And it's an exceptional situation. It happens rarely that a decision like changing general counsel, it was made because of things that happened in closed session, not in public, private, not where the town or the public is privy for that information regarding the conversations and those sorts of things. And sometimes as board directors, you have to make the tough decisions. Knowing what we knew from closed session, we made the vote to change counsel. We can't explain to the public or ask them to weigh in as to why that happened. That's the time where you have to trust.
Three of you, only three of you.
Dr. Tolbert,
know
I'm
about
talking.
that.
Thank you. That is one of those times where you have to trust the pedigree of the board members that are serving on the board, that even though you can't know all of these variables, They took an oath to serve the district to the best of their ability. You guys are the district. I can't think of one situation that will come up where I do not listen to every single thing that every one of you say. And granted, maybe it's only 90 people on a Zoom like this out of 3,600 in the town. But I personally would listen to every single comment out there and make my decisions accordingly, having nothing to do with me, having only to do with the town. But on occasion, there will be an exception where the decisions are made because of closed session situations.
Thank you so much, Vice President Whitney, for your words. We're going to continue on with.
No, you are not. I have a comment. First off, Director Whitney, I did not say anything to you, so I don't know who spoke up. But if you don't know who's speaking, do not invoke my name. I did not say anything while you were speaking.
That is correct.
Since Director Whitney brought up the hiring, no, excuse me, I'm not done. Since Director Whitney brought up the hiring of BB&K, now I will speak. Once again today, I took a Brown Act class. It was given by Patrick Dunnigan, I believe his name is, and Megan Garibaldi from BB&K. A question was brought up in the meeting that said, if paperwork is brought to a board meeting, handed to only the board members, for the board members to go over, do we have to turn that into the public? The answer was most definitely we have to get it to the public. The recommendation is you stop the meeting, make copies, give it to the public so the public may comment and understand what you're doing with their money. That did not happen on January 18th. No one from the public received any notice of this BB&K. Myself, no Director Gorky received any notice prior to the meeting. Based on that, BB&K is not our attorneys. And I got that from BB&K. Y'all did this wrong.
Now we will continue. We will continue on with public comment. I'm gonna
Really quickly, I have a quick comment, President. Excuse me.
Director Emery,
Excuse me,
go ahead.
Director Tolbert. I just want to say, are you done? Are you done? Thank you. There was a couple of comments that were made about attendance and the community attending, and I think it's worth noting that everyone should be very conscientious of that. In these last two meetings that have taken place, there's been over 75 people in attendance. In the last two meetings prior to that, in person, there was an average of 10 people. So I know that there's a lot of consternation about people attending meetings, people attending meetings and saying that they don't have access. But by my count, the last two Zoom meetings have had more attendance than our in-person meetings. Now, I hope that trend changes, and I look forward to it changing because I do welcome and invite public commentary. I do welcome and invite public discourse. I think it's very healthy, and I think it's healthy that people express themselves respectfully. And I think it's worth noting that in the last Zoom meeting, that many individuals, perhaps on this call, were not respectful. We're not respectful of the decorum that is part of the bylaws of this body. And it's not an acceptable way to conduct any kind of community affairs. So keep that in mind. I get there's a lot of passionate views and there's a lot of people with very passionate opinions. But at the end of the day, if we're going to move forward, we need to move forward respectfully. And you have every right to pursue all of your normal means. If you want to pursue a recall, if you have a strong opinion, God bless you, do that, okay? But at the same time, let us the ability to do the job that we stepped up when nobody else was able to do and step up. Everyone else had the opportunity to step into this position. They chose not to do that. And so here we are. So it's either we're going to move forward, and how we move forward is up to everybody, either on this call or privately. But just be respectful and let us move forward with business. Thank you.
Director Emery, thank you. And thank you to James and to Johnny as well. I'm going to ask that the directors please hold your comments until the appropriate time at the end of the meeting. This is the time for the public to speak during public comment. And we're going to continue with that. And I want to thank you, everyone, for your cooperation. I'm going to try to go back to C. Cowan. Mr. Cowan, let's try this again. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Clint Cowan. Can you guys hear me?
We can. Thank you so much. You have 3 minutes.
Awesome. I would just like to reiterate what many people of the community have been saying about the special meeting that you conducted, which is last minute. I just learned about it about 30 minutes before the meeting started. And if we're trying to get everybody on Zoom, it just doesn't work, as evidenced by my inability to get myself unmuted to talk to everybody here and some of the other people that have usernames with their phone numbers and some other random thing we can't tell who's communicating. And it just seems suspect. It seems like you guys are trying to ramrod some stuff through, and it's not right. I don't like it at all. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments and thank you for being here. The next person I see, or the next name I see, is Dr. Chuck 9999@yahoo.com. Dr. Chuck, please unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Can you hear me?
I can, thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. My name is Dr. Chuck Greenwood. I've been a resident here in Morongo since 2004. And I love Morongo Valley. I love our community. And I'm very concerned with what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing happening with our board. And I'm actually sick in my stomach with everything that's going on. I have not heard anybody supporting the 3 people that are in question here. And there's just no transparency between you 3 guys and the community. So, and just a reminder, this board is responsible for maintaining a functionable fire department and paramedic service that we all depend on. Our lives depend on it. Our property depends on it. Not only for now, but for the future. And this is what our board has to plan for, is for the future. And it doesn't look like that's what's happening. So if we put these services in jeopardy, then our tax dollars are being wasted. And then our emergency service for our health care and our property for fire protection, it all disappears. If it disappears, our property values tank. We won't have the care that we need. We won't even be able to get insurance for our property. I don't know if you guys know this and understand this. So it's not just making decisions in this moment. We've been here before, and we know that if we can't support our own fire department and paramedic services independently, the county, we depend on the county, we are in deep trouble. We won't even be able to get insurance. And if we could get insurance, it'd be extraordinary or exorbitant, sorry. So, I mean, there's just a lot of questions I have. We got to have, an environment for our workers at the office there and for our fire department. We can't have a hostile environment. We have to be able to work together. Let's be professionals. Come on, you guys, let's be professional. That's all we're asking. We're asking for you to be transparent. No, but I haven't heard anybody say that they're in agreement with what's going on. Everybody's saying, please, please, listen to us, please. It's not about, it's not about egos. It's not about what you think is best for what your agendas are. It's like, what's best for the community? Ask us, and we're telling you right now what's best for our community. So right now, when I ask, how much is it costing us for this new attorney at this moment? Where is he? I'd like to hear a comment from him. How much are we paying you for this next 2 hours? When was the last time we had an attorney on our meeting time?
Dr. Chuck, thank you so much for your comment. Your 3 minutes are up. We appreciate that you're here. The next person I have on my screen is Karen's iPad. Karen, please state your name and then you have 3 minutes.
My name is Karen Lowe. I've been a Morongo Valley resident for over 20 years. And I want to thank Dr. Chuck for everything he just said. I frankly feel sick to my stomach too. I prepared some remarks to make during my comment session today. And Director Whitney's comments just really derailed that. What he essentially said is that you're here to do some business and it could all be over with in 5 minutes if the public would just shut up and go away. And I want to tell you people that that is exactly what the problem is. Directors Whitney, Henning, and Emery, you are not welcome here. And we do not trust your pedigree. That is exactly the problem. We don't trust you. I was reading some CSD guidelines this morning, and here's what it says. A district must strive to maintain the trust given to it by its customers, operating the district in an open and transparent manner and demonstrating that the district is a proper steward of public resources. I'm here to tell you that we, the community, do not believe that you are proper stewards of our resources, and we are going to get your resignations or your recall, no matter what we have to do. We do not trust you. We do not agree with your opinions, and we especially do not agree that you are not representing us by listening to us, the public, who you are supposed to be there for. I also have questions whether this meeting is even legal or not. The reason being, the resolution to allow Zoom meetings was just allowed to expire. And then, you can just call a special meeting. You can ignore our regular meeting, have a totally unacceptable meeting in the middle of the afternoon when people are working. And then you just go ahead and re-up it. Like, that just seems like it's totally skirting around what the law was meant to. I also want to know why 2 of our board members at least have not filed their legally required Form 700 financial disclosures. We have a right to know what potential conflicts you have. At the last meeting, there was more than an hour of public comment that was just asking you to give us a chance, explain to us what's going on. And what did this board do? They went straight through with exactly what they wanted and ignored over an hour of public comment. As a result of that, we're going to have over an hour of public comment at every single meeting. So Director Whitney, I would advise that you get used to that. Thank you so much.
Karen, thank you very much for your comments. Director Whitney, I'm sorry, Director Emery, I see that your hand is raised.
Yes, unfortunately, and in full transparency, because I know that's a big issue with many of the community members. I just had a death in the family, and I actually need to leave this meeting literally within moments. I apologize, but I do applaud the fact that the community has come out. I do welcome questions and comments, and I do look forward to the hours worth of back and forth so that the community does participate and we can move forward in a positive way. But unfortunately, I need to leave the meeting. So thank you for understanding.
Thank you for your time and thanks for being here.
Director Emery, please accept my condolences on your loss.
All right, moving on. The next hand I see raised is Donna. Donna, please unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi. So thank you for calling on me. I would like to send my condolences to Michael. That's rough, and I want to thank the 3 of you for stepping in when there was nobody there. And I think that it was something that was nice for the town. However, I'm going to say what everyone else is saying. We've lost confidence. I think that the condescending way that we're being treated is really not okay with me. And I'm hoping that you came in to do the right thing. And one of the things that really upsets me is that I believe if we continue down this road, we're going to lose our fire department. And we're looking at using the same attorneys as Lasco uses, and Lasco's the ones that would shut us down. So I think that'll be my next step, besides looking at legal action, to see where to go from here. We have 8 people who are members of the community that are ready to step up to run for the positions. And I'd really like to ask you to step aside and allow that. Often people think when they come to Morongo Valley, and it's happened years after year after year, that they're going to make a killing and they're going to make a lot of money and they're going to be able to arrange things so that they profit. And I have an uncomfortable feeling. I have no idea why you guys are doing what you're doing, but to say you have a 5-minute meeting and essentially, I wish all this didn't have to happen because you're not really interested in what we have to say. That's really unacceptable. And all these secret and closed sessions, you know, that's like illegal what you guys are doing. And so please don't make us go to the next step with all of this. I would really ask you to please maybe even shut down the meeting now and set it up for a time when people can be here. You heard time and time again that people said they couldn't be here because they had to go pick up their children, and we're going to have a meeting of this sort now. So that would be a very kind thing to do, and maybe even get a little sympathy and empathy from the community. Also, I don't think that the comments from the board, and particularly from the 3 of you, have been appropriate. And if the majority does not want you here, and it's obvious, why would you make us go through the expense to recall you? So
Okay, thank you, Donna. Your time is up. I appreciate your comments.
Please don't say that. I don't believe that, but
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. We appreciate your time. Now the next hand I see raised on my screen is David. I'm horrible at last names, so Anson. I apologize for mispronunciation. David, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon. My name's David Ianson. I've been in Morongo Valley since 2016. And I think we have a great community here. But listening to all the comments and just my personal observations with the 3 new members here, I feel that there may have been some serial meetings in the background, a little bit talking together, maybe phone communications. Anyway, this is a violation of the Brown Act. Just let me read this. The Brown Act explicitly prohibits the use of direct communication, personal intermediaries, or technological devices that is employed by a majority of the members of the legislative body to develop a collective occurrence as to action to be taken on an item by the members of the legislative body. Serial meetings involve communication between members of a legislative body that are less than a quorum. But when all participants are considered, it constitutes a majority. For example, a chain of communication involving contact from member A to member B, who then communicates with member C, will constitute a serial meeting. Similarly, when a person acts as the hub of a wheel, member A, and communicates individually with the various spokes, member B and C, a serial meeting has occurred. In addition, a serial meeting occurs when intermediaries for board members have a meeting to discuss issues. For example, when a representative member A meets with representatives of members B and C to discuss an agenda item, the members have conducted a serial meeting. So it's just be careful, because that's how it appears right now, that you're having serial meetings. Second item that I have a concern about is hopefully you're all permanent residents of the Morongo Valley, and not just part-time members or just property owners. But I'd love to see that you're all permanent residents. Anyway, good luck. Enjoy the rest of your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, David. We appreciate your comment. I do not see any other hands raised.
I didn't get full 3 minutes. I was the
Uh,
first one when you told me to only have 1 minute, and I would like to have the rest of my time to
Oh,
speak.
my apologies, Jess. Absolutely. Please go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Awesome. I just say, and that
Jess, Jackie, thank you, Jackie's iPhone. Jess, go ahead. Your time, I restarted the clock. You may speak.
Awesome. I just wanted to say, as a concerned neighbor, a mother, a teacher, and a member of this community, I am truly deeply troubled by the recent events and proceedings involving the CSD board. I'm worried about the unnecessary spending and the hostile work environment that you've created for the Morongo Valley staff and our firefighters. I'm also concerned with how quickly things have been pushed and passed through without giving the community and board members time to think. The Morongo Valley Recall Committee has listed several issues that are currently being investigated, including the major one is disregarding the desires of what the community has asked and has brought forward. This is unacceptable behavior from our officials, and we must hold you guys accountable for your actions. I believe that it's important that all the members of our community have a voice to be heard. However, the format of this board meeting is not accessible to all people. Not everyone in this community has internet access or a computer, as well as afternoon meetings are super hard for families. The only reason I'm here right now is it's a snow day. I don't have work today, thank God, but I would be working, picking up my children. There'll be no way for me to attend. Just like Mr. Emery just said, that was the plan, to put it in the middle of the day so no one bugs you and you can pass whatever you want, and that is wrong. Also, this meeting is, the way this meeting has come about is super wrong. Alongside the trusted, loyal members of our community, I agree with the Morongo Valley Recall Committee, and I'm requesting Mrs. Jennings, that's you, Mr. Whitney, and oh, sir, Mr. Emery, to step down, please. Just step down and walk away. We have people who are well-known, trusted people in this community that want to step in, that care about this community. I watched our community almost fall apart. I went to every one of those meetings. We almost lost our fire department. And I am passionate about the people who live here. You're not even in Morongo right now, and that is messed up. So whatever your agenda is, I am not for it. As you hear from every person on this meeting, nobody is for what you guys are doing. We're begging for you to step down, and you're not listening to the needs of the community. Lastly, the BB lawyer, are you here? Are you representing our community? Because if you're hired by our funds to represent our community, why are you representing Ms. Jennings? Why haven't you spoken up to anything else? Do you not hear all of the community is against what's going on and questions their intentions? That's all I have to say. And God bless you. This is all on your shoulders. Good luck.
Thank you, Jess. We appreciate your comments. If there are no more public comments, I do not see any other hands raised. Please, Jackie's iPhone, if you could please mute your screen, that would be great. At this time, seeing as there's no more public comment, we are going to the board. It will now adjourn to closed session.
I raised my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Suzanne. I apologize. I did not see that.
Why you take her and not me? You told me to mute my screen.
Okay, Suzanne, can you hold one moment, please? I apologize, Jackie.
Yes.
I did not see a hand raised. So please, absolutely, please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes. Jackie, go ahead.
All right, my name is Jackie Barlow. My family's been here since early 1946 into that area. The population, the general population in this community is all older people like me. We're in wheelchairs, we have disabilities, etc. Some of us can't afford to have a cell phone, even telecom. They don't have computers. Some of them don't even have the rest of the things they need. As far as these 3 people, from what I've heard, the last meeting I heard was a total fiasco. I think some people are still screaming about it. Some are still yelling about it. I don't know. I can't get out of my house as I'm in a wheelchair. And so you see, I can't get to your meetings. Thank God that we have the way to get on here and talk to you now. I praise the Lord for that. I don't know what you people should do, but I think you should stop talk amongst yourselves and figure out exactly how to settle this problem. You're moderating. I'd like to know how your attorney, Ms. Denise, how your attorney got all your emails when he had to get them off of your computer because they were sent to you. I don't understand that. That came up earlier today. What he had to say is what he had to say, et cetera, as has with everyone on here. I feel, and I shouldn't go by my feelings, but in listening to what I've heard in the last hour and 15 minutes, I don't think I've heard anybody say that you should stop, really look around, and keep on going. Everybody I've heard I believe everybody I've heard, it said you should resign. Now, I don't know just exactly what you did wrong, but it must have been a huge mistake. And it would be nice for the community if you settled it. And it seems that they want you to settle it by resigning. That's the thing to do then. You're not helping, you're hindering. Let's get somebody in there that can help the community. The community, that means everybody, not just these young whippersnappers running around, but all the old folks too. Take the majority. You keep talking about the majority. And I know my time's just about up, so I'm going to close. But just remember the majority of the people in this community are older people. Older people. And we have a word to say to. I thank you very much for finally letting me in. I didn't rightly know how to do it, but I learned rather quickly.
Yes,
And
you did
take
learn.
care. Thank you, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank
I
you so much,
appreciate it.
Jackie.
Bye bye now.
Bye, Jackie. Thank you so much. I'm glad you were here. Next hand, Suzanne, I'm going to go back to you. Thank you for allowing Jackie to speak. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I want this on record. I'm super saddened with the board members of Emory, Whitney, and Henning. It's been 2 meetings of over hour-long comments of the community expressing that we do not want you guys to continue in your positions. Now, as I understand, your positions are volunteer positions. I've also heard that nobody stepped up during the open position time. Now, with that said, the community is pulled together, and we have committees, and over 10 people are willing to step up and take over your positions. I hope the legal representative of Best and Kreger, I hope you hear the community and advise these board directors to step down from their positions. We are ready to start the recall process. And what that's going to do is cost this community thousands of dollars to remove you guys from a board that we don't want you guys sitting on. And that's very saddening because we're asking you guys to voluntarily step down. That's what it is. And you guys are just not hearing us. You guys have created a hostile work environment from the workers at the fire department. You guys heard that the last meeting. You guys are not acting in the favor of the community. We asked you guys not to vote in Best and Kreger last month, and you guys proceeded to do that. Now, I think it was Emory that stated that's a very hard or major decision to do. And so my concern is, how can you make major decisions after being on the board for only 2 months? I'm very sad, and I wish that you guys would just step down. I want to thank Johnny and Gorky. Thank you for representing the community and hearing us, and just being transparent with us. I don't know what else to say other than we want you to resign. Like, we want you to resign. You've had an hour of comments at both last meetings asking you to resign. Step down from your positions. We are not happy. We do not trust you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Suzanne. We appreciate your comments. Jackie, if you can hear me, can you please mute your phone, please?
Do
Ms.
what?
Bar- Can you hit mute on your phone, please? We can hear the background noise.
Oh, the TV. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Ms. Barlow.
Jennifer, this is Dr. Chuck. I'm still waiting for comment from our attorney, how much this is costing us per hour.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chuck. Our next speaker is iPhone 5. Your hand is raised. If you could please unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes for comment.
I already had my time, so I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I'd like to comment. I don't know how to raise my hand. I apologize. I had to call in through my phone and I don't see a way to raise my hand.
Okay, all right, thank you. If you could please state your name, you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. My name is Lisa Weldon, and I've been in this community for over 25 years. And I agree with most of the rest of what everyone's been saying, that this is ridiculous that you're holding these meetings in the middle of the day. I had to take time off during my lunch break, and I'm sure Emery, I think it was, that had to leave the meeting, was on his lunch break because he ended it right at an hour. But just my opinion is that I've stayed on here to wait and to listen to everyone. And it's important to listen to all of us and what we have to say. And it's important that we stick together as in a community. And I'm so impressed and so proud of our community and all of us that are standing up. Just so you know, there are a lot of people that don't have a way to Zoom. Okay, not everyone has a way to Zoom. They don't have computers. You know, there's a lot of elderly, just like Jackie commented a minute ago, that she has a hard time getting down to the park. Well, there's a lot of people that have a hard time getting onto these meetings via Zoom, because a lot of people don't. And I have family that aren't able to attend, and I'm at work, so I can't be there for them to voice their opinion like we are, because they don't have the devices like most of us do, but some don't. And we have an elderly community. And you have to remember, a lot of our community has a lot of children that are home right now, and they had to go at 2:30 this afternoon or 2:20 and pick up the kids from school. Great job on you trying to schedule this in the middle of a time, thinking that we weren't going to be present and we weren't going to voice our opinion. You're wrong. We are going to voice our opinion, and I hope everyone can still continue to stand up, because we are not going to give up until you're gone. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Lisa, for your comment. I don't believe I've called on the screen name AR. Please, and if I have not called on you, please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Yeah, I'm just curious, is the BBK lawyer actually here? I've heard 2 people ask about him. I know our community doesn't want to pay his fees as it is, but it seems like he's not even here and we're going to be invoiced for this. He just hit mute and walked away.
Our BB&K attorney is here. Do you have a
people have asked about him more than once. I've never heard him join in, so I'm just curious, is he here, or are we just being invoiced for him?
He is here. He's already spoken twice and weighed in. So
can he say hello just so we know he's still here?
He responded to Jennifer.
Yeah, so I'm so yeah, so you go ahead.
I still don't hear him. Okay, so anybody else hear him? Okay. I'm just wondering, if nobody wants you here, why are you here? What are you benefiting out of this? I mean, it sounds like you guys are holding these positions hostage, and there are more than, I mean, there are people that are willing to take over that are actually respected in this community, which it doesn't seem like you guys are. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments. Shelley Ruger, your hand is up.
Thank
Hello.
you.
Thank you. You have 3 minutes.
It's Shelley Ricksecker, and if you can see my picture, you can see that I do board meetings for a living. I know bylaws, I know all this stuff. I know Best and Krieger, and I could probably guarantee you're paying him about $3.50 an hour at this point, but not too sure. I have to admit this is my first meeting, but I'll be attending more. I just wanted to make a recommendation that you in the future continue to do your Zoom meetings, but have hybrid meetings for the folks who like Zoom, but also for the folks who want to be there in person. And it sounds like also that you need to have them at 5 or 6 p.m. Trust me when I say I hear these same comments all the time in board meetings, and my boards fluctuate to take care of the owners in the HOAs I manage. But for you guys, you should be listening to the public and trying to accommodate what they're asking for as far as meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. I do not see any other hands raised. So at this time, we will conclude public comment and we will move into closed session. Jackie, could you please mute your iPhone? Oh, there we go. Thank you so much.
Did you call on David?
I'm sorry, was there a comment?
I don't think I heard David.
David.
And I haven't heard AR yet.
AR did speak, and so did David. David Annison, and I'm sorry I mispronounced your name, David. But yes, they have both spoken. So with seeing no other hands raised or other public comment, the board will now move into closed session. Brittany, can you help us out here?
Jennifer, before we go into closed session, I need to make a statement of what the closed session is for.
Okay, thank you. Nick, can you please do that?
Yes, so the board will be going into closed session, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to government code section 54956.9 D2, one potential case. And when the board is done with closed session, the Zoom will remain active the entire time. The board will come back and report whether there is any reportable action under the Brown Act from closed session, and then continue the meeting.
Thank you, Nick. For the board members, Brittany is inviting us to join the break room or the breakout room. So if we could please go in there, we will continue with the business of closed session.
All but one.
Does anyone else feel like we're getting the shaft?
I think we all feel that way.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Just so
agree.
everybody knows we can still speak during this part of the session. They are out of the room, but there could be other representatives from the community and outside of the community here.
Listening.
Right,
That's
and they
fine.
are also recording, so keep that in
Yes.
mind. Somebody, I just sent an email to the email address for the recall committee. Can someone please respond to me so I can know when those dates are and I can attend those meetings as well?
Hi, Lisa, it's Shauna. I just
Hey,
wanted to
Shauna.
let you know that I did see that your email did come through. And as soon as this meeting is over, I'll send you just a confirmation that I got the email and keep you up to date on any future meetings that we might have.
Perfect.
And
Thank
Buddy-
you, Shauna.
Buddy, this is Alicia. Just keep me posted and I will definitely join in these meetings as well. to
Thank
make
you.
sure- Yeah. I really would like to see the invoice for this lawyer because his little face did say BB&K still there and he's not answering questions. If we get charged for 3 hours of service, I'm gonna be pretty upset.
That's why I said we need to hold them accountable for any expenditures that they incur with this BB&K without the community's input.
And
Is it legal?
Is it legal for the president to sign that document hiring without the general manager?
I don't know.
Something to look into, I guess.
Yeah,
Also-
I'm
also-
hoping that we get
Shauna, give me a call later.
Okay, will do.
Can someone
to get the
explain to me
recall
why
going
we needed the attorney in
ASAP.
the first place?
Right.
Hello?
I think mainly it was for whatever they're doing in closed session, but he attended the whole meeting. So of course, the community making comments keeps him here a little bit longer, but unfortunately our voice need to be heard.
Also,
shouldn't he just be
their
called right before-
inferences,
Go ahead.
their inferences about closed session without saying what's said in closed sessions and gaslighting, I'm going to look that up because I'm pretty sure that's 6 ways from illegal.
Does anyone know what the code is that they just mentioned as the reason for the closed session?
They were mentioning, he was like saying last time, oh, I can't tell you what's in the closed session, but I have never experienced such blah, 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 blah. I mean, really going on thick. And I'm gonna do some research on that because I'm pretty sure that's not allowed.
Okay, since you guys are already starting this recall thing, how many signatures do we need?
540,
That's it?
maybe?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I think
that's nothing.
That's just
36
to
people
start
in
it.
this community?
550
That's
of
just to start it.
registered voters. It has to be
Thank you.
550 of registered
500
voters.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
We can do that. That's not
That's
hard.
Well, that's nothing. We all know so many people. I just barely heard about this. I will knock on every single one of my neighbor's doors.
Me too.
Yeah. No, we got them.
And who are these people? Where did they come from? Why are they here? What are their plans for our community? I'm confused. These people don't look like they're even from around here.
I hear you there.
They do live in the district.
Hello?
But
I'd like to make a
majority
comment.
of them represent Palm Springs in one way or another.
But
Yeah,
we're
they're
not
from-
Palm Springs.
Exactly. We're not even Riverside County.
are now.
County.
Exactly.
We are now.
Someone had a comment. Will you speak?
Yes, hi. Is it possible we can do background checks on these people to find out who they are? What is their history?
You can
It
do
seems
a Google check on them.
James
We could do
Whitney has a
background
nice
checks
history
also.
on Google.
Yeah, he does.
I think you should
I
do
think
the
it's
check
time
on
to do a
Google.
background check.
There are
Yeah,
places
why
you
don't we
can
do a background check on the council? Can we do a background check on the council?
I have a question. Someone mentioned how the statement of economic interest, that 2 of the board members have not submitted that. Is there any way that we have like any documentation of this or for any of
It's
the?
already being taken care of.
Okay, well, I was wondering, so I spoke to someone who was here earlier and we'll watch the recorded version from the High Desert Star. And they were asking me if we had any documentation. So if anyone has any, I would love to send it over for the article they're going to be writing.
I think you
I'll
want
take care
to
of
look.
it.
Okay, Janet's got it.
Yeah, send it to the editor. Her name was Stacy. I think she left the meeting, but I'm assuming she will come back and listen to the end of the recording.
I know
version.
Stacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do
Jan.
those 3 of them actually live in Morongo as a primary residence, not own property or pass through? Do they actually live here?
I do know Henning is here. She lives on Hess, but I do not the other 2.
I do know that Emery and Whitney, they actually live up Big Morongo Canyon Road, supposedly. I mean, I don't, I'm not up there, so I don't see them going to
That
their
is what
property. But
that's
they
what I
live up
heard.
there.
We got an address, but anyways, yeah, they're up to the top of Big Morongo.
But we don't know if that's their primary.
Right, exactly.
Maybe we should start ticketing their houses.
All in favor?
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Don't do that. That's not nice.
No, don't do that. We want to do this above board. We don't
need
want to
to
be them.
We
Amen.
need to be classy about this. We don't need to be dirty about it. We need to do the right thing.
So true.
Agreed. By the way, I know you guys are just joking about that, but we shouldn't even joke about that when things are being recorded.
Janet, I know, are you on the computer or are you on your phone?
On my phone.
Okay, so Stacy Moore, the editor of the High Desert Star, she in the comment section said her email is editor@highdesertstar.com if you want to send her anything.
I will.
All right, thank you, Janet.
Not a problem.
I'd like to make a comment because I won't be able to stay on when they return. Regarding their renewal of AB 361, their 30 days has lapsed and they cannot utilize AB 361. They made the motion on the 21st of December to approve it. It was approved January 18th and it expired February 18th. So they cannot use AB 361. If they lapse it by 30 days, it's no longer applicable and they have to follow the Brown Act.
Well, the BB&K, from what I understand, BB&K told them that if they approve it at the beginning of the meeting, put it on the agenda and approve it at the beginning of the meeting, that it would be okay.
That's the thing I didn't understand is that what justifies the
It's
emergency.
not correct. You can
Yeah.
look it up on the state's website. It's government code 54953E4. It requires local agencies to verify every 30 days. It says for legislative bodies, no later than 30 days after the first teleconference and every 30 days after. There's a special byline here for groups that have meetings that are 30 days apart. The state advises local agencies to take care to ensure their boards make appropriate findings at least every 30 days, so as to ensure compliance with the verification requirement. They let it lapse.
Yes, I agree. And for some reason, it's just really getting shady. So that's why we're going to proceed with this recall.
They're using a technicality. They're using a technicality with the state because of the COVID, et cetera. They're using that technicality to get away with this is what they're doing.
I was going to ask you, Jay, if you wouldn't mind writing that in the comment section. And I know if I'm still on the meeting, I would be happy to say that out loud and just question the BB lawyer as well as the board on that matter. Also, given the jurisdiction, San Bernardino might have different COVID regulations still as down in Riverside. So I'm just surprised that they're still trying to use that code. I'm pretty sure that.
Well, the state is later on, I think next month, are going to lift those venues, but until then, they are within their legal rights. Skatey, absolutely. Inappropriate, yes. Slimy, of course, but they can use it and actually get away with it from what I've read.
The state emergency expires on the 28th of February by the governor. And I pasted it in the chat. There's no skating around the renewal of every 30 days. It's clearly written in the code. And the code is in the chat. I won't be here for the lawyer to respond to it. I doubt that he will, but I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Jay.
Good idea, and thank you.
I personally don't think we can trust a board that has to hire an attorney to defend themselves from us, the residents. So I just need that.
Agreed.
Hey guys, I'm just over here kind of thinking about the last meeting. And if I recall the way it all went down, and I'm a total nerd, so I went back and I watched that stupid meeting like 3 times. The way that everything went, I'm very confused about why this new law firm is representing the board. I don't understand how that came to be, because the whole point of everyone getting, like, what started like everyone getting so pissed off was the way that they were treating the general manager, because he refused to sign that letter of engagement. And part of what they were going to do in that meeting, and they never got a chance to because everyone lost their ever-loving minds, was to vote so that the president could just sign it instead. Well, that's never happened. So I'm just over here very confused. Maybe somebody can clue me in. I don't understand how they're engaged, how they are representing the board. Does anybody know?
I can kind of speak to that. At the December meeting, they had a closed session with the attorney. I was at the January meeting and I asked why all of a sudden they were changing attorneys. And 3 of the board members said that my question was, and I'll let you know, this is Bobby Talbert. I asked a question as to whether they gave the attorney what they expected out of him, being that the 3 of them had issue. I said, okay, so have you let our attorney know what your concerns are, being that you had one 30-minute closed session with them? Have you let him know what you expect? 2 of the board members said no. 3 of the board members said they did in that closed session. And then in January, like I said, they came in with the, here's BB&K, and I'm not saying anything's bad about BB&K. They're a great company. They run for many communities around here. I understand they're fabulous at LAPCO, but financially for our community, we can't support their fees. And that was my major concern, because with our other attorney, we paid $125 an hour. With this attorney firm, a paralegal is $150 to $175. Then the first attorney, and it's a female attorney, and I'm not sure what her name is, she started at $245 up. And then this Nick guy started at, I believe it was $50 and up. So that was put out. Well, it wasn't really put out to the public. That was why Jim Brakebill was uncomfortable signing it, because the public had not got to see all of the paperwork. They said
Actually, and that law firm,
go ahead.
that law firm represents the company these 3 work for. So I have questions there. Why all of a sudden hire the firm that represents your company that you work for and make a living with? And, you know, it just leaves more questions and suspect. It does. I imagine that the attorneys that we had hired that were doing a good job for us at, you know, way more than reasonable fees, use the magic word with them. No. They don't seem to like the word no. And you know what I mean? It's
Right.
like they have the majority, so they think they can just bully their way through all of this without anything, you know. What got to me was, okay, a lot of people were disrespectful to them at the last meeting. And I get that, but you know what? That's the position. And those are the things that you have to be able to handle in that position. It is a serious position. It is not volunteer. It is by election or appointment. It is not volunteer. They may not get paid, but it's not volunteer. You know, they are put in place and they are responsible to follow the laws and to serve the will of the people. And what, you know, disrespectful or not, get over it. That's the nature of the position. Bobby, you and I have seen some of the things like crazy, right? But you know what? Our husbands didn't sit there and say, oh, well, you guys were disrespectful to us. They didn't sit there and whine about it or anything else. They had to take it, just like every elected official has to take it and still serve the people. It's the way it is. It's the nature of it.
And I know a lot of people, you know, they may not agree with some things, but in the end, everybody was still friends.
Yes, but you know what it was? Is that they cared about. Bottom line is that the representatives on that board cared about the community, even if they disagreed or whatever. They still cared about that community. And it's like nobody is perfect. Nobody. But they did the best that they could. But I don't recall anybody asking anyone to resign except for Gail and these guys.
Right. I agree.
No matter how much we disagree.
100%. But and I understand how we got to where we were. But what my question was specifically was that the whole hoopla, the whole thing was that somebody needed to sign this letter of engagement. Somebody needed to sign it. And because Jim wouldn't, Jennifer decided, well, I'll just make a new resolution and have these two guys pass it for me that I can just sign them. Well, that never happened. That resolution never passed. It was never brought forward for a motion. I'm using words that I don't even really know if I'm using the right words, but that never happened.
That's okay.
How is this
You're
guy here?
correct on that, Lynn. It did not happen that way. And the man is to question contracts, make sure they to the public properly.
You're breaking up, honey.
I'm sorry, I was muted earlier. So you're correct. It's not signed by the gentleman, which should have been signed by the general manager. The three of them.
And there we go on that paperwork. I'll request it.
Yeah, that because they're responsible for paying them then. If they, of their own volition, went and said, hey, Mr. Lawyer Man, come on over to this meeting, and they don't have that paperwork signed legally, then they need to pay the bill.
Agreed.
Yes, I agree.
I agree.
And I just wanted to note too that in the previous meeting, Chief Breakerbill even admitted to like how he felt his job was like they were being hostile and that they were kind of forcing him to sign something that he chose not to sign. He thought the community needed to know and be aware of what was going on first. And I just think that is so special because that's why I have a lot of respect for him and what he's done in our community. And I think that's what really upset me. Just in why I don't have any trust for these three people is the way that they're trying to do things. It's, as someone stated earlier, they're bullying their way into doing what they want. And it sounds like they have an outside agenda and they don't care about the interest or the good of the community. And it's heartbreaking because I don't want to see our community fall apart because it's three greedy people.
And we just got the fire department pretty much straightened out financially, et cetera. It took a year. It took a year, and now it's going to be put at risk yet again.
I think that's
and this is what, you know what? This is true. One of the directors said it, and it's true. If no one steps up, then slime slips in. And so we all need to, as a community, be very mindful of that. It's a tough position to be in. I get it. It is. You got a target on you because you can't make everybody happy all of the time. So it's a tough position to step into. It's also time consuming. There's a level of weight of responsibility to it. I get that. But if we don't, people in the community don't step up, and I include myself in that, even though I'm long in the tooth, but if people don't step up, this happens every time people don't step up.
Yeah.
So, just what I'd like to bring up and just, we have all of these issues that we're dealing with and all these questions that we have. And I don't know if they'll get answered or not, but I think the way to go is just push forward with this recall. I know a lot of folks showed up for the meeting last night at the park, but Matt and I are going to San Bernardino on Monday to get whatever paperwork needs to be done for the recall. And then we'll get the 3 board members served their notices that we're going to start a formal recall and just go from there, because I just don't see legally, I just don't see any way around, everything they're doing is just right on the fringe, and it's nothing that is impeachable other than they're not representing the community. So that's what we just have to follow through with this recall.
Thank you, Shauna, for all your hard work.
I want to thank the folks that showed up this morning too, to power over all the binders and all the manuals and everything. There were, I think, 7 or 8 folks this morning showed up at Linda's to go through every single word of the handbooks that are meant for the district. So I appreciate those guys too.
At this point, it is a community event. Our community is speaking, and I think it's amazing at how everybody is stepping up.
A lack of transparency with money will do it.
I just want to thank everyone for their comments today. And I just think it's really super important that we keep voicing our concerns and just asking them to resign.
I agree, Karen. That is super important. And also start emailing them with all of these questions that you have. Just load their emails up. If they say they're answering every one, it'd be interesting to know those answers. I haven't gotten any answers, but just keep sending them. It's their first initial dot, their last name at let me find it for you. And you can send them emails through the CSD.
I found it a little concerning that there's so many community members that are saying that they've emailed board members and sent them messages, and 2 of the board members said that they had been answering all those. So if our community is speaking out, saying they're not being heard and they're not getting answered back, I'd like to know who is, I mean, do they have people on their side?
Right. And to that, do we ask everyone that has emailed, like have them send those emails, that conversation thread to, like, do we like consolidate all that info? Like, hey, here's our proof on our side. We sent you an email. We didn't see a reply or receive a reply.
Good
Oh,
idea.
Perfect. Thank you,
Like just
Dylan, for
calling them
putting
out.
that.
It's not a legal thing, right, that we could stick, but it's just, hey, we're calling you out. You lied about this. What else are you lying about?
Thank you, Dylan, for putting those emails in the chat.
I have a quick question. Is there any way that if they weren't actual residents, like they just owned, like say an Airbnb or property up here, that we could get them out of office sooner?
Yeah.
No, they just have to be residents of Morongo Valley, and they have been for some time. So that's not an issue.
Okay, and they're allowed, two of them are allowed to be together, like be married and live together too, right? That doesn't
They
matter.
are. They
Okay.
are allowed. However, they're with two people living in the same household. They shouldn't have any contact with other board members, because then it would be a serial meeting, and that's been the problem.
Oh. And lastly, is there any, was it a proof or was it just a rumor that they like work together at the same business outside of the CSD?
Well, I don't think they still all work together. I know they're all part of one group that is called PS Mural Fest LLC, Palm Springs Mural Fest LLC, but I don't know what, I have no idea what their affiliation there is, just that they all list that company.
Yeah.
But again, that's not something that's, legally that we can do anything about.
Yeah.
Shauna, I have another question. There was a gentleman that was speaking about, and it just hit me right now, but he was talking about what a serial meeting can construe. I don't know if it counts or not, but I do know that there are several emails that there are only 3 of the board members included on. And it's all, I don't know. I mean, he said I think he said digital. I wasn't really paying attention to exactly what he said. That gentleman is still here.
That's part of the problem too.
Okay, so can we turn that into LAFCO?
Well, that's why they had a training this morning at 10 o'clock with BB&K that LAFCO paid for, was because, just they needed training on best practices because they were violating the Brown Act.
Okay, but they were violating the Brown Act by not turning in those financial disclosures. Does LAFCO know about the emails that excluded the other board members?
Yes, they do.
They do.
I let them know about that.
Okay.
And they know because they provided training for them this morning.
So because they provided them training, now whatever happened previously doesn't really, is that what I'm hearing? Yeah.
It's just, okay, you guys, let's have some training here. No more of that.
It's really frustrating because I never met the 2 gentlemen on the board. I never looked into, when they were running or anything. But having had communication with Jennifer when everything went down last year, and talking to her and listening to her sell herself, she sounded like a godsend. Like she knew exactly what to do. Like she was going to just, turn the wheel and drive this thing. And it's really disappointing.
It really is, because I had the same feeling when I met Jennifer. I thought, awesome, she has great contacts, she knows a lot of this stuff, and then unfortunately it's all talk and no action.
It would be nice if we had like a 3-month process after people get elected, that we have the right to vote them out. Just so this doesn't happen again. Like, because so many people have such good intentions and selling themselves, and then you're like, yeah, you seem like a great person. And then a few months later, you're like, no, you're not. Be nice to have some kind of process so this doesn't happen again.
My
It would be
biggest
nice.
thing is that I feel like the community should be more vocal, period. Even after, say, after we recall these guys, we get our people in there, you know, everything's going great. This boat is sailing and it is thriving. We still need to be involved. We still need to be vocal, because that's what keeps happening, is that we lose attention. I'm guilty. I was completely naive to this, and we just need to be more vigilant and just be more vocal to this, and then spread the word. I feel like the majority of the community still doesn't know what's going on, you know, and moving forward, yeah, we're going to be more involved and more vocal about what's going on in our community, so that to prevent this from happening again. Because
I agree, Jane. I used to attend every single meeting, and then, you know, life got in the way, and I was happy with the way things were going. You know, I'm married to a board member, so I was very happy with the way things were going. You know, then I stopped going, and 3 people got in on the board that weren't representing my concerns for my district as well. I mean, you know, I have 2 daughters that live in this district, and you know, they plan on staying in this community, and I want our community to be here. So I'm guilty of stopping going to meetings as well. And I will definitely be attending as many meetings as I can from now on.
So I take it their little special meeting is longer than 5 minutes,
good point.
right? They're like, if you guys weren't all here, we'd be done in 5 minutes. I'm like, it's been longer than 5 minutes. They're trying to wait us out.
I wonder if they're allowed to have, like, technically finish the meeting if one of the board members isn't there. Because didn't Mr. Emery step out?
They can, as long as they have a majority of the board. So they have to have at least 3 board members on the board to continue the meeting, which right now they'll have 4 people on the board. But they have to have at least 3 people to vote on whatever is going on.
Hopefully.
And if they don't get 3 votes, then whatever is going on might not happen.
That might be the holdup. They're stuck at 2-2 right now. They don't have their 3rd person.
That is very possible.
That's a good thing. They can't go through with what they're planning on.
Maybe we need some elevator music to pass the time.
Turn on some music, Janet.
I can't. I'm on the phone. I'm limited for now.
Just a reminder for anybody who is interested, on getting on our email list. If you want to email us at mvrecallcommittee@gmail.com, Lynn will put you on the list to be to have all the, we send out anything that we do, we send out an email, just keeping you updated on our progress with the recall. So if you want, you can email your email address to that email address and she'll get you on there.
Hey, Shauna. Shauna, do you want to talk to everybody about the auxiliary while we're all here?
Oh, yeah, sure. The firefighters auxiliary meets once a month as well. You guys are welcome to become members of that. It's just an auxiliary that supports the local fire department with things that, you know, are extra. Oh, looks like they're coming back. So I'm gonna let them speak. But if you want information for the auxiliary, please let me know.
Good afternoon. Johnny, are you back in the room?
I don't see him.
I don't see him either. Let me see.
I can text him.
Yeah, I'm texting him too.
Okay.
Okay, I just texted him.
There he is.
Okay, great.
Over there.
All right, thank you, Johnny. Nick, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Could you please make the announcement of reportable closed session actions?
Thank you. The board met in closed session on item F as stated on the agenda, and there was no reportable action from closed session.
Thank you very much. With that item concluded, we will now move into individual director reports. I will start with Vice President Whitney. You may go ahead with your reports.
Yeah, I just want to take this time to do my best to correct a bunch of things. First of all, I might have misspoke in the earlier part of the meeting because what I intended to say was I wanted there to just be a 5-minute conversation in closed session briefly, and then get out of closed session and then go into regular public comments where they're not restricted to an agenda item that is a closed session item that you wouldn't even necessarily know about. So we could get just into public comments. Additionally, and unfortunately I can't stay long because it's after 4 o'clock, but I would love to have 5-hour sessions of public comments. In fact, we had a study session slated, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. No agenda went out, so we had to shelve the study session. But I'm really looking forward to hours and hours of commentary from the town at whatever point that can happen. What I wanted to really address is, my mom taught me years ago, she said, just because you hear someone say something doesn't mean it's true. When you believe what you hear without verifying the facts, without going to the source, you may find yourself getting caught up in a web of deception. I want to personally clear up a bunch of misinformation that is out there. Number one, that we want to fire the chief. 100% untrue. Ironically, as you guys now know from the last Zoom, Jennifer and I were spearheading awarding Chief a proclamation of the Morongo Valley CSD, which is the highest award possible, in order to applaud the chief's
James, you
devotion
don't need to go into that again. We know what you were going to do. You were going to fire him, not as chief, but as general manager. So don't start lying again, James, and trying to.
We will please respect each other.
We will not tolerate being gaslit.
Please respect each other. Please respect each other. The public was allowed 3 minutes to speak during the meeting.
Well, quit lying.
This is now the time set aside for the directors. We please ask that you be respectful and allow each individual on this meeting to have a moment to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
3 minutes starts now.
Please remain respectful.
Madam President, whoever's in charge of the Zoom meeting, could everybody be muted except the directors who are speaking right now so that we don't have the outburst, because it's already getting late.
Director,
the second thing I wanted
continue.
to clear up, that I want to incorporate Morongo Valley, 100% untrue. I would like to analyze that our current structure is what is best for our residents. Similar to making sure when you come on as a CEO that a company is designed as an S Corp, a C Corp, an LLC, to make sure it's best for the shareholders. I am guessing that unincorporated is best because we'd have to have a police department and a number of other things. And if the town were not interested in greenlighting that initiative, we wouldn't even do any kind of analysis. That's as much as has ever happened with the notion of incorporating Morongo Valley. The third thing, it was said that I want to pave the roads, 100% untrue. Even if it's possible and we had the funds or we got grants and that sort of thing, the individual residents who would want to improve their roads, I think they should then have a voice, whether it's better dirt roads, gravel, slurry, pavement, whatever it is. And again, that's an initiative that would have to be green lighted by the town. The fourth thing is the 3 new board members have serial meetings, 100% untrue, not even one time. Even my husband and I don't talk about district business ever, because we shy completely away. If we're going to err, we're going to err on the conservative side. We've both been on many boards. We know how to navigate those waters. The fifth thing, the 3 new board members have formed a voting bloc, 100% untrue. We have not had a heck of a lot of votes to date, but they have ranged from votes that were 2 to 3, 3 to 2, unanimous, and 4 to 1. I was the dissenter in the 4 to 1 vote. So even my husband can't agree on votes half the time. Another time, there was a park initiative that was being discussed, or application form. Madam President had an idea how she wanted it to go. Tink, who's the park commissioner, or whatever the title is, had an idea how she wanted it to go. I sided 100% with Tink. I said that this is her wheelhouse, let her have that, went completely against Jennifer in that vote. The sixth thing, Jennifer works for me and my husband, 100% untrue. And by the way, Jen, if you ever do, we pay minimum wage and no benefits. Jennifer is a friend of ours, but just to give you some context, we've never been to Jennifer's inside of her home. We've never met her husband. I don't even think I've ever seen a picture of her husband. But Jennifer, we do still consider you to be a friend, even though we're not as close as they would like to think, some people anyway. Number 7, that we want a new truck for the district, 100% untrue. We actually had considered leasing a new truck. It was $500 a month, only to hear, oops, there's a $10,000 down payment that's also required that hadn't been disclosed before, which rendered that absolutely impossible. I've had conversations with Tink, My idea would be to have like a golf cart that's used with a little trailer behind it to be pulled, because the distance is not very far going back and forth. And the eighth thing is that we are possibly benefiting by bringing BB&K on board. 100% untrue, as Shauna and Nick, who we had never met, can attest. Again, that's just misinformation. Also, based on the chats I was reading earlier, all three of us are primary residents here in Morongo Valley. So once again, just because people hear certain things does not make them true. When you believe what you hear without verifying the facts, and by the way, there's a bunch more out there. I don't want to take up more time going over it, but when you just believe without reservation that what you're hearing is true, again, you can be caught up in a web of deception. In conclusion, I took an oath to do what is in the best interest of the district, which is you all, not in my best interest, and I will uphold that oath. I will always ask for your weigh-in. Even if it's only 90 people in the town of roughly 3,600 residents, your weigh-in will always be considered above everything else. However, sometimes, as I mentioned before, we, the board members, are forced to make tough decisions like changing council. A decision to change council was tough because it was based on non-public knowledge, conversations and information that you were not privileged to hear, as the variables were discussed behind closed doors, in private, non-public, closed session meetings. And in those exceptional cases, which that was, and those are exceptional times, and fortunately, they're pretty rare, please trust that we are acting in the best interest of the district, which is you all. When I considered making my decision, it was because I thought in this town of 3,600, that would be the absolute best decision that could possibly be made, devoid of any spin or things that people were, told and heard. I want to thank you guys, even though your passion may temporarily be at my expense right now. As I said before, I'm from New York. I've got thick skin. At least to some degree, I feel like the passion is directed here negatively, but I applaud your ambition, your energy, your enthusiasm, and admire how much you guys love our town, as do I. I just hope this passion at some point gets redirected into very positive energy so that we can move mountains to make Morongo Valley what we all want it to be, and sooner than later. Morongo Valley has been my home for 5 years, and there is no place on the planet I'd rather be. Thank you all very, very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Whitney. Director Tolbert, do you have any comments?
Thank you. First and foremost, I always thank you to the men and women of the Morongo Valley Fire Department. The work you do. I'm on your active 911, so your calls, you're doing great work for us. Thank you. Chief Breakbill, I know you're listening. Get well soon, sir. Brittany Chavez, Taylor Morton, great work. Thank you very much for all your hard work. Also, this meeting today I feel was wrong. This means they should never have taken place. This meeting should have taken place on February 15th at our normal regular scheduled meeting. We could have done all this business then, and I had to call for a special meeting. I truly believe that the reason for the February 15th meeting being canceled was cowardice. If the president of the board who deemed the meeting to be canceled was not a coward, she would have signed the record. She would have signed the notice canceling the meeting. Instead of doing that, she had district staff do it. She had Brittany Chavez do it. If you're gonna have the nerve or the guts to cancel the meeting, have the nerve to step up and sign the cancellation notice so the public knows you did it. Don't hide behind someone else. That is cowardice. And being from a person who's been in combat, I understand what cowardice is. Also, as I stated earlier, I sat through should have been an hour and a half long. That class today actually took 2 hours because a lot of questions were asked and answered. It was stated that we should have, as a board, turned over the paperwork that was only handed to the board by President Henning to the public for them to review before we hired BB&K. This board did not do its job. This board did not represent the public. And I'm sorry, this board did not listen to the public. We're elected by the public. We're we asked them to trust us to handle their funds and handle their business. When things are going smooth, they shouldn't have to come to a lot of meetings. Come to 3 or 4 meetings a year to say know what's going on because they trust us to do our job. When they come like this because they feel they are not being listened to, they do not trust what they're hearing, they do not trust what they are seeing. That being said, this board needs to make a full 180-degree turn because right now, the majority of this board is not listening to the citizens of this district. And unfortunately, they feel that you do not care about them. I don't go out in this town very much anymore for the fact that I get asked too many questions I can't answer. I don't like that. I know a lot of people in this district, I can't answer their questions. Changes need to be made in how people do that, how people represent themselves on this board. Director Whitney, you asked more than once about incorporating the district. You even said in a meeting, you want this to be called a town council. Those are your words, not mine. So when you say that in a public meeting, of course the public thinks you want to incorporate the district. A public member told you that was not a term you could even have, and you still said, no, we should be town council members. So sir, you say you don't want to incorporate the district, but in the meetings of the public, you said different. That's why they don't trust us. We can't say one thing and turn around a month later and say another thing. Also, it is getting very ridiculous that myself and Director Gorky are not finding out about special meetings until the agenda's put together. No clue if we're going to be available. Here's a meeting, just do it. The proclamation for Chief Break Bill. I've known that gentleman longer than anybody on this board. Doing that, I can't help that gentleman. I'm sorry, your little surprise was BS. Board members do not come to a meeting and get surprised by a proclamation the board is doing. That was you doing it by yourself. Either the 2 of you or the 3 of you did it. You do not make decisions for this board. This is not a 2 or 3 person board. There are 5 members and we are all to be involved with decision making for this board. This is not a dictatorship as you are trying to run it. That's why people want you to resign. That's why people want to recall you, because they see your actions and your actions are not in the best interest of Morongo Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Tolbert. Director Gorky.
Thank you. I'm going to try and keep this brief. Just to start, March 5th in the park, we are going to be having our next Crochet Club meetup, 2 to 4. If there's any other community members interested in establishing some type of community event like that, I encourage you to join so that you can speak with me and I can help guide you to working with the CSD office so that you can start hosting your own events. I would like to request that future meetings are scheduled in the evening with enough notice so that personally I can coordinate childcare. I think it's best interest of the entire community. And that's all I have for this. Besides, everyone stay safe with the snow. It's crazy out there. Thanks.
Well, seeing as there's no further director comments, I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Madam President, I do believe you
happened
said
to
the public
public
have a chance to
meeting?
make comments after the closed session. You have not given them that yet?
Okay, thank you, Director Tolbert. Do we have any further public comments from individuals who were not able to speak during the first part of the meeting? I see the hands up from the people that were able to speak during the first part of the meeting. Are there any other individuals? I'm not seeing any on my screen.
I just raised my hand, Tamberlin.
Timberland, I have you as speaking at the first part of the meeting. All the public is allowed one opportunity to speak.
Okay, are you gonna answer anything that Johnny had to say though? I mean, he had some very, very valid points. And I feel like since the beginning of this meeting, the last meeting, we continuously ask you guys for answers. You guys wonder why we're coming at you so hard and why we're so upset with you. And as it has been voiced many times today, along with previous meetings, you're not answering the community. James Whitney tried, but then again, Johnny just brought up the simple fact that he has talked about incorporating Morongo Valley and making this a city or changing the name of the council or whatever. Johnny just
Jen,
threw
if
out
it's
a bunch
okay,
of
I know
things.
this is unorthodox, but if it's okay, can I answer the questions that they're wanting? Because I have no problem answering anything.
We've heard from you though. What we don't have from you guys is Jennifer Hennings, our president, that's supposed to be supporting and representing our town. Just like mentioned earlier, we email her, she doesn't respond. We ask her direct questions, she doesn't respond. We want answers from our president.
Tamberlane.
Okay, guys, with all due fairness, you called my name. You said I was not answering the questions. I then offered to answer any and all questions, and you said you don't want to hear from me. I would like the opportunity, just the two that you threw out. When I said that I thought if we had our meetings called a town council, I thought that was more embracing of a community, because a CSD board meeting, it just sounds very cerebral. It doesn't sound real inviting to me. A town council sounds great. We're not a city either, but a city council, if you're big, sounds great. I just wanted as much participation as possible, and thought if we could call it a town council or even an unincorporated town council, we would get more people to the meetings, because all I want is community involvement. As Mike said earlier, and please send positive energy out, it was his mother who passed away. As he said earlier, there were only maybe 10 people showing up at the meetings at the building. This is great to us because we have between 70 and 90. What I had proposed, guys, is what's called an OWL meeting, I think is the term. It's a hybrid where we're in person and we also have Zoom. There's a cost associated with it. I think Jennifer was already looking into it. But if we could have that, that would be fantastic. The reason we had to have this meeting during business hours is because council is only available during business hours. And the closed session required that they be there, which is why Vivian Cape was there. Also, my husband just got back from the funeral late last night, and this was the first time that he could be there, for the meeting. What was the other question that you had? I can't remember. That was one of them.
Well, for one, there's another lie. I send my condolences to Michael Emery, but he said he had to step away earlier because he just had a recent death in his family. You're saying the funeral was last night. Again, I'm sorry that his mother passed.
I'm going to stop you right there. His father is basically like an invalid right now, and Mike now has to deal with his father, with insurance, with diabetes, with a number of things that I don't want to go into. His hands are as full as they can possibly be.
I'm sorry,
But
I have
let's
one
get back to
question
the
though.
actual question. You had another substantive question. What was that?
Will next month's meeting, the one that's supposed to be in person, be canceled?
I don't think so. And I hope everybody shows up physically. And I would love to have it hybrid where we also have Zoom so that all the people that don't have the ability to get out physically can also participate. That's my goal. In person and Zoom. So it's hybrid so everybody can be involved. But you had another question that was substantive. I don't recall what it was.
That was my
Did I
last
answer it?
question. Thank you. That was it. Thank
Any
you.
question anybody has, I am willing 100% to answer. I'm as transparent as it gets. And guys, I have my views, but when I serve on a board as a director, that my views don't matter. I am doing my best, which is what my oath was, to do everything in the best interest of the district. That's what I have to weigh in. I have to consider your 80 or 90 views, the rest of the town of 3,600 people. And by the way, I get bombarded with people saying, James, hang in there, keep up the good fight. All of this stuff from people that aren't necessarily showing up at things, but I at least, in swimming in the negativity when I get on a Zoom, at least I do get some positivity outside of that, because people who know me, and hopefully you will get to know me, know that I work my butt off to do the absolute best I possibly can for shareholders, if it's a private situation, and in this situation, for my community members, of whom I've been for 5 years.
I had a question that someone brought up in the chat. They had to leave, and I wanted to address it not just to you, but if we still had BB&K, the lawyer, on it. But before I get into that question, I just wanted to speak personally from my own view. I have no idea who you are. And the first time that I met you in the previous meeting, I did not appreciate how you disregarded the advice of two trusted board members who I personally know and I've known for years, as well as hearing my chief, Breaker Bill, think that feel like his job was threatened, and that when you guys brought something for him to sign, he suggested that it got brought to the public, and you three denied it. Those two things solely right there shows me that you're not listening or respecting me, who I am in the community. So everything that you have to say is great, but as you just said, that your husband came back from a funeral last night. And when he dismissed himself earlier, he said that he just got a phone call that someone passed away now. So the fact that things are not being honestly said makes us question why is there even lies for something as simple as horrible as that? I'm so sorry for that happened. But like you just said that he came home last funeral.
Okay,
and he said earlier,
Jess,
that's a lie. Just saying that's a lie. So here's the question from Jay to everyone. Government Code Section 54953 E4, also now requires local agencies to verify every 30 days that the exemption from traditional teleconference requirements is still necessary. Specifically, that the legislation body must make finders no later than 30 days after the first teleconference and every 30 days thereafter that. The legislative body has reconsidered the state of emergency circumstances, and either the state of emergency continues to direct impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person, or state the local officials continue to impose and recommend measures to promote social distancing. Because monthly meetings can be more than 30 days apart, we advise that local agencies take care to ensure their board makes the appropriate findings at least every 30 days, so as to ensure compliance with this verification requirement. It was to our understanding that the last time that we were in this, it's been past 30 days. So you guys starting the meeting with it, even though it's been past 30 days, that you legally were not able to do, that you should not have been able to do that.
Okay,
Jen, my name was brought up again by Jess. I would like to respond since my name was brought up. And Jess, first of all, I appreciate all of your comments. I want to lead with, Mike didn't say that somebody just died today. He said he's dealing with a situation. I don't know how he termed it, but whatever he said was absolutely accurate. I want to get to the substantive things. You said you've never seen us around. You don't know who we are. My husband and I started MOVAC, which was Morongo Valley Action Committee. This was a couple years ago, if memory serves. We had a lot of meetings at the Monument Pub. We had great turnouts, dozens and dozens of people. We were trying to get all kinds of committees formed and things going as an action committee. We ended up leaving for South America for 3 weeks. We came back and we were told that it was so disruptive and in such chaos that they didn't know how they were going to continue moving forward. Mike and I then backed off and decided this, for the same reason we stopped going to the board meetings a few years ago. They were so hostile and so disruptive. We went to the board meetings. Many of you saw us there, asked questions, wanted answers, but it was so hostile, toxic, and disruptive, we stopped going to any board meetings. That's when we formed Morongo Valley Action Committee to positively be able to do something proactively. And we were, and it went on for quite a while. I think it still exists. Many of you are probably still on it. When we were then asked, would you consider coming onto the board because you stepped away from Morongo Valley Action Committee.
What is
on
it
the
that
board,
you
you can help
achieved?
make
What is it
changes
that
you were
you
trying-
achieved,
you were
James,
trying
with the
to do
MOVAC?
before.
What
I'm
did you
sorry?
achieve with MOVAC?
So the main things that they were looking at that time, there were the parks, the street lights. The lights were a very big deal, trying to get people to slow down in general as they were coming up the hill. Initiative.
I didn't
they
ask. I
had-
didn't
Okay,
ask what you
all right.
tried to do. I said, what have you accomplished? What has
we were
been
able to
accomplished?
we were able to accomplish not much more than getting the town involved, bringing the town together with dozens and dozens of people who were very, very passionate And that did continue. It just ended up being disruptive. People ended up not really getting along, but we did bring the town together. My biggest goal then and my biggest goal now is to get grants that we could possibly, that we deserve, but we have to have grant writers do this. We have to proactively get out there and be in the know. And there's a lot, there are millions of dollars that could come to our little town just through grants. If we keep our heads up, do the right thing, stay as powerful as we can for a little town, I think there's all kinds of benefits that we can get. And this is part of Jennifer's wheelhouse. She knows this stuff like I know how to walk the tightrope, which I do. And there's a lot we can get done, guys. And if everybody uses all of this energy, all of this passion for good, Tink and I have had some really good, strong conversations about even just the parks and things like that. Our hearts are in the right places. Our capabilities are here. I keep seeing all these nasty comments about pedigree because I use that word. I do have pedigree when it comes to trying to move these mountains and make this as good as possible. I might fail, but if I fail, I'm going to die trying. I live here. I love Morongo Valley and I'm going nowhere. And you have, as I took my oath, to do the best I possibly can for the district. That is precisely what I'm planning on doing.
Then resign.
Okay, I'm going, this is now,
Yeah.
sorry, this is public comment. Are there any individuals who have not spoken, who were unable to speak during the first part of the meeting?
I did not speak in the first part.
And who is speaking?
Alex, ALEX.
Alex, all right, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
James mentioned he wanted to be transparent. In that transparency, I want proof of the emails he's answered, because many of us have written and emailed and not received a response. So if he's transparent, I want proof that he's actually responded to all the emails that he claims he did. And
I have received not one email
well,
from anybody.
Well, okay, we'll list those out for you. But if you guys care about this community so much, resign, save the community the trouble that we're going to go through in recalling you, and know that this will it will go to all media outlets that we can get it out there on, because this is that important to all of us. That's all I've got to say now.
Okay, thank you so much, Alex. Are there any other individuals out there who were not able to speak? Lynn, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Just to respond to James, everyone is yelling, resign, resign. And I know that's really hard to hear. And I just want to remind you how we got here. At the last meeting, there were some nasty comments, I understand, but a lot of people, myself included, very calmly just requested that you slow down a minute, just slow down. Why are we pushing this through? We're very concerned. We're very over budget. This is a very expensive law firm. I understand you can't give us specifics, but you could have given us that letter of engagement to review. You could have broadly and vaguely explained why you felt, the 3 of you, and we know who we're talking about, felt it was so important that we get this new law firm, when the 2 other board members who, you have to understand, as a community, we actually voted for them, and that's not a diss on you, but we know them, we trust them. They did not know why. So when we have people that we know that have lived in our community for years, that show up to events, that we've looked in the eye, say, I don't know why, we're going to have questions. So you're very defensive, and I can't imagine I would like to think I wouldn't put myself in that position, but I understand why. But if you just go back to the basics of where we got here from, and kind of maybe, hey, I don't know. A lot of people are saying it's too late, you had your chance. And I don't know if you can recover from that, but that's where everyone's coming from. And I just want to make sure that people who are here, who maybe didn't see the last meeting, who are wondering what all of this is about, understand that all we needed you to do was say, okay, we've listened to your concerns. We're going to take a step back. Let's reschedule. And then canceling the meeting from this month. Bad move, like really bad move. So, I mean, that's all I've got to.
Yeah, again, my name was brought up. Lynn, first of all, I appreciate your comments and I absolutely understand from where you're coming. I hate to be on the defense because I know my tone can come off as defensive. Also, guys, full disclosure, because anyone who knows me knows this, I'm on the spectrum. So I'm hyper-focused and fixated on certain things. This happens to be one of those things, and I take on a different tone when I feel like I'm sort of cornered. And I'm okay with that. Like I said, I have tough skin. But Lynn, the decision to bring General Counsel BB&K on board had already been made before that meeting. It was a fait accompli. It was done with a proper vote. Everything was set in stone. It was upended by trying to like overturn it and that sort of thing. That's where the consternation happened. My biggest regret is that I just shut up in that last meeting and didn't say anything and just let everybody else go on. And I didn't correct any of the misinformation that was out there. I tried to do that today. There's so much. I just took the top like 10 bullets and tried to address those. But guys, I'm an open book. I am transparent. This isn't my normal tone either. I love to laugh. I love to play. I love to joke around. Just reach out to me. I've never gotten an email from anybody that I can think of. Not one, except for the Jennifer and Tink and some, the regular people, but not the community members. I don't think I've gotten any emails. Just reach out to me personally. Call me. I'll give you my number if you reach out. But I am transparent, not trying to hide anything. The general counsel situation was the tough one because those decisions had nothing to do with public information. And the contract had already been, everything was already done with BB&K in that last meeting. They were even on the last meeting. So we were talking about something that had already transpired. I hope that answers your question. And again, I'm sorry if my tone is coming off as super strong, but you got to imagine, I feel like there's a lot of people coming at me and for justified reasons, especially when you're not in the know and you don't have all of the information, because I haven't been given the opportunity to give it. But I will always give you my best advice, my best efforts, and do what is best in the what is in the best interest of the district, which is what the oath was about.
Okay, so the next public comment we have is Sabrina. Sabrina, are you there?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
I need to be clear on something. Did I just hear that law firm has been engaged? Correct? Please give me an answer.
That is
Yes.
correct, Sabrina.
Lovely. Now, that's sarcasm. Is the next meeting going to be public and not on Zoom? Because I want you three in front of my face.
Sabrina, to my knowledge, yes, the meeting scheduled for March 15th will be taking place per the usual schedule, 6 p.m. in the NPR at Covington Park.
Okay. Last, we just paid how much money for that attorney to sit at this meeting? That's a question too.
I'll take it to the best I can. The attorney had to be in the closed session meeting. That's why we were having the meeting. I don't think
so
they
he only got
thought,
paid for the closed session. Is that what you're
I
telling
don't
me?
know, but I don't think the attorney thought there was going to be all of the public commentary because the comments could only be about the closed session item, which is not a public thing. So
Right.
I don't know at what point we start getting billed, but I know that we absolutely had to have general counsel there for that closed session meeting, which is why they were
Okay,
there.
well, please tell me that we're going to get information about that.
Matters that happen in closed session, Sabrina, have to remain in closed session.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what money just got paid to the new attorney that is a heck of a lot more expensive than the ones we had. What was paid to him for today?
Sabrina, that's not a question that can be answered at this moment. As James said,
Then I'll write it down because I'll be sure and ask that question at March's meeting.
Sabrina, that's great, and you absolutely should. I absolutely recommend that perhaps we can even, I'll make a note to put that on a future agenda. I'll work with the finance director, Director Tolbert, and we will, perhaps we should do a full accounting of all the legal bills. I know that our CPA is, Bonnie Miller, is able to do that going back 10 years. So I think that would be a great
for
topic.
today.
Okay.
How much he was
today.
paid for today?
We can absolutely do that. We can do a report. I'll work with Director Tolbert to get a full accounting of all legal bills, not only from today, but going back 10 years. So we can have absolute transparency. So we can see just how much the district has spent in all legal bills. And I'm sorry, I interrupted your time. So please continue on. You still have 2 minutes, Sabrina, for your public comment.
That's it. That's all I have to say. I'll
Okay,
say
thank
the
you
rest
so much.
Jennifer,
in March.
Thank you so
Sabrina's-
much.
to Sabrina's point, which was a very good one, are you allowed to give them just a rough guesstimate of within the last year, 2, 3, what the legal expenses have been? Because Sabrina, Sabrina, I think we definitely want to be around for that meeting.
Dr. Whitney, we don't need to give a rough estimate. We can get the bills, I mean, the numbers from.
Itemized would be perfect for me.
Okay.
The question is being asked.
We're not
is what are
talking
we
about
paying
last
per
year's
hour
bills.
to Nicholas Norvell? The question is being asked is what are we paying per hour to Nicholas Norvell with Tisbury Public Record?
This once again, we will agendize that. We will put that on our, I'm writing a note now, full accounting of legal in addition to today's bill from BB&K. So until we have time to actually see that bill, I can't answer that with certainty, and I'm not going to guess, as some, especially guess regarding something that's important. And Sabrina, you want the answer to, and you deserve to have that answer. So we will have that agendized at the next meeting. I'll work with Director Tolbert, and we'll definitely get that to you. So are there any other public comments from individuals who did not speak during the first half of this meeting? I'm not seeing any other hands, so I apologize if I'm missing you, but please, is there anyone else? Okay, and Director Gorky, I think I saw your hand up. Do you have something further to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify Director Whitney's comment. There should be no reason that council wouldn't be available for an evening meeting. They were able to join our evening meetings during our regular meeting.
Yes.
Pretty
Thank you.
standard. It would just need to have been scheduled at that time. I know that time was a concern this week. So that might have played into it, but we could have definitely had it scheduled for 6 o'clock this evening instead of 2 in the afternoon. And it wouldn't have been.
Yeah, and Jennifer, you know, are there prices?
And if it were the case that BB&K weren't available, we had another
versus the evening?
council we could have asked to step in and provide services during our closed session.
Also, I would like to comment what Director Gorky is saying. I think we need to remember that BB&K works for us. We do not work for them. We work for the citizens of Morongo Valley. BB&K comes to meetings when we request. We don't schedule meetings for them. They come to meetings at our request because they work for us.
They don't work for the community.
And
They
I
don't work
agree
for the
with,
public.
I agree with you, Director Tolbert. They work for us, absolutely. And Director Gorky, as you know, as we all know on the board, sadly, due to the nature of the closed session agenda, which it is a very important matter that needed to be addressed and did not want to be addressed any later. It needed to be addressed as soon as possible, which is sadly why we had to have this today. Not because it's convenient I know it's not convenient for me. I know it's not convenient for Tink, Johnny, James, or even Michael. So,
If it was that
this-
important, why didn't we do it last week at the regular scheduled meeting that we should have had?
Johnny, the information was not available at the last meeting.
Yes, it was. I spoke to the SDM a long time ago. Please
I
do
am
not
not,
try to
okay,
tell me I
we're,
do not already know.
I don't think we should get into legal matters that we are not allowed to discuss. We were instructed by the attorneys not to discuss any of these matters in any way, shape, or form. There's already been an issue with that. So if there are no more public comments, that will be the adjournment of our meeting. May I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Director Gorky. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for attending. The meeting is now adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.